Hey everybody!
Hey guys, in honor of November being Diabetes Awareness Month, we thought we would share a few videos, talk about our diabetes life,
Our journey.
so far. We won't talk about DIABAND, of course, but we thought right now we would talk about my D-Day, my diagnosis day. So, I guess where to start? It was February of
2014? No, 11?
13.
13.
Yeah, 13.
We don't even know.
Yeah, it was a while ago. So 2013, I would just turned 31 a couple months prior. So at the time was doing a lot of exercising, working out hard, changed up my diet a little bit, and so I was feeling really good, in good shape. So I mean, it really did come out of nowhere. But just to kind of rewind to when my symptoms started happening, and I should preface this with I don't have a real dramatic story. There was no hospitalizations or anything like that. But
It's pretty lucky.
Yeah, so very lucky in that aspect. So our wedding anniversary is in February, so typically we'll go to a little trip to the Black Hills of South Dakota just to kind of get away. So that's what we're doing this weekend in February. So I worked all day, and we were driving that night, and I was driving and just noticed that my eyes were getting super blurry, which I thought, hey, I've been working for 8 hours now. I've been driving for 5. It's pretty normal, no big
He
deal.
didn't share this with me.
Right. So get to Deadwood that night, pretty late. We were tired, went to bed. The next morning, got up, just felt super lethargic, tired. My eyes still weren't quite right. But we got up and started doing, your typical Deadwood stuff. We were out and about, sightseeing. For anyone that doesn't know, there's a bunch of casinos and bars in Deadwood. So we hit those up. And so, you're drinking all day. And so the fact that I didn't feel great and my eyes were a little blurry, I thought, well, I probably just, maybe it's because I'm drinking too much or whatnot. And I remember even coming back that afternoon and just was out of it. Just wanted to take a nap. So ended up going throughout that whole weekend, just feeling really terrible the whole weekend. And then driving home that Monday, just couldn't see a thing. And at that time, I hadn't told Nicole anything about it. Just kind of went about my business.
Well, I knew you didn't feel good.
Yeah.
But we were thinking more flu-like. He had like a kind of cold-like symptoms, just
not at that
lethargic
time. Just felt tired and my eyes were goofy. So that next week, it just kind of went about my business, except my eyesight got worse and worse and worse, to the point where I was wearing my contacts and my glasses just to be able to see anything at all. So it was that was kind of weird, of course. And like I said, I was working out and trying to change my diet. So this part, I was thinking, well, geez, maybe I'm just really hitting my stride here. But in the course of that week, in a couple of days, I ended up losing about 15 pounds, which, that's not normal. And I was super thirsty. So any of you with diabetes, you can relate, I'm sure. Super thirsty. And then
were wearing contacts and glasses.
Covered that.
Say that? Yeah. Okay, sorry.
So, super thirsty, but every time I would take a drink, I would have to go to the bathroom. So, it's drinking and then peeing, drinking, peeing constantly, and just super tired that whole week. So I went a whole week just feeling like crap, wearing my contacts, wearing my glasses, and just going to the bathroom constantly. Dry mouth, but I didn't want to drink anything because I'd have to go to the bathroom. So go to that next weekend, and then I started feeling really down. I'm feeling like, okay, now maybe I got the flu. Okay, this is better call the clinic on Monday. So got in that following Tuesday. So this all had been going on for like a week and a half at that point. Mm-hmm. So get into the clinic, and Nicole asked me, do you want me to go with you? And I said, well, no, I'm an adult. I can handle it, So get into the clinic, and I start explaining my symptoms to the nurse. Well, I should kind of rewind to the weekend. I think we went to Sioux Falls maybe that weekend, and I remember I was sitting in our car waiting for Nicole to do something, and so I'm, WebMDing all my symptoms, which a person probably shouldn't do, right? And type 1 diabetes popped up number one. It was the extreme thirst, the weight loss, the dry mouth, tiredness, the eyesight, all those symptoms popped up, and type 1 diabetes kept popping up. And so this is just an example of my, my lack of knowledge, my ignorance was, diabetes, it can't be diabetes, I'm young, I'm in shape, I can't be it at all, so I was really ignorant between type 1 and type 2 diabetes at that time. So kind of dismissed that. Okay, so now we're at the clinic, and I'm telling the nurse my symptoms. She kind of looks at me, she goes, okay, I'll be right back. So she leaves the room, and I'm thinking nothing of it. She comes back maybe 10 minutes later, and she goes, okay, we're going to do a blood and a urine sample. I'm thinking, geez, I've got a little bit of a sore throat. Why are we doing this? But, okay, we'll do that. So we do that. I'm in there for like 2 hours, something like that. And the PA comes in, who's a friend of ours. We've known him for a long time. And so he sits down, and he starts explaining the difference between type 1 and type 2 diabetes. Like, I sit back and go, Doc, what the heck, man? Are you telling me I got diabetes? And he just goes, yep, that's exactly what I'm telling you. And it was just like, hit me like a ton of bricks. Like, oh my gosh, what does that mean? So they kind of tell me a little bit about insulin, show me the syringes, tell me like what dosage I should start out with, what kind of insulin I was going to take. Told me my blood sugar it was somewhere around 600 or so. My A1C was a 10, which you guys, might know that's pretty high. Anyways, throwing out a lot of terms that, you're just not even hearing really. It was just kind of like it was like a fog, like, holy cow, what do I do now? And so heard everything, got my prescription, and walked across the clinic into the pharmacy and called Nicole at that time. And yeah, at this point, she's wondering what's going on because it had been 2+ hours. And so she goes, what are you doing? I said, well, I'm in line at the pharmacy getting insulin. Yeah,
he said, I'm waiting for my prescription for insulin. That's how he told me.
Yeah, so big shocker to both of us, of course. Yeah, and I just remember that day just kind of walking around like, what?
Well, we went to Qdoba after that, right? Like, after you were diagnosed. And I remember, like, telling my boss, I'm like, I gotta go. Like, my husband was just diagnosed with diabetes, and we're like, well, let's meet for lunch. And so we went to Qdoba, and we got there, we're like, well, crap, what do we eat?
What do we do now?
What do we eat?
Yeah.
I think we both had salads, which is fine now looking back on it.
Yeah. I don't know. And so after that, it was and some of the advice you get right away was eating a certain amount of carbs for every meal. I was told to eat a number of carbs for a snack 2 or 3 times a day, and so obviously I learned a lot since that time. But it was just really overwhelming. I will say right away. Picking up insulin, I don't think I'll ever forget that first shot. We had a pen. It was Lantus, right? So, it's pen. You dial up the number of units. So crank out. I think it was like 20.
I don't remember.
10 or 20. It was quite a bit. I think it was 25 is what I started with, and I did it in my thigh, and I just remember, like, all right,
counting
here
to
we
10
go. We're gonna do this, and boom. And honestly, that first shot, that needle, it's that big, and I was like, well,
yeah,
that wasn't too bad.
Yeah.
So after you get over that initial fear.
Yeah, so we also learned that when a person is first diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, their pancreas is still probably working a little. And so there were nights when Zach's blood would be fine, but he was supposed to take insulin, which, if you don't know, insulin lowers your blood sugar. So if you have high blood sugar, which he had, he needed insulin. But he would check his blood sugar, and it would be in the good range. It'd be anywhere from 100 to 150, which was, at the time, a good range.
Yeah.
And so there were a lot of nights where we were on the phone with a nurse saying, what should we do? Like, are you sure he has diabetes? Like, honestly, like, his blood sugar is just fine right now. And, so then they would lower it. And, eventually when your pancreas then, poops out completely is when you start taking it more consistently or whatever. But at first, his pancreas was still shooting out some insulin. So it was really confusing. And I think that that's probably the hardest part of it is like, we just questioned it so much. Like, he was super healthy. He was working out.
It was weird.
And he had to take insulin all of a sudden, and it didn't make sense to us. But
yeah, you know, that maybe we'll talk about this a different time, but those first 6 months were definitely the hardest. I just remember it was almost like on a daily basis, like, holy cow, is this real, for one? Do I literally have to, you know, prick my finger 4, 5, 6 times a day? Do I really? And at this time, I was just taking one shot of the long-lasting insulin once a day, so one shot wasn't terrible.
Yeah, you kind of go through like a mourning period, though. Like, you have to get rid of the. I mean, you have to get rid of the mindset that you had that you can eat whatever you want and it's not going to do anything to your blood sugar. Yeah. And Zach ate healthy before this, so it wasn't like he was eating bad. But everything you eat, you have to take insulin for. It's not just, you know, sugar. It's not just cake. It's not just cookies. I mean, he has to take insulin for everything he eats. And so I just think that throughout this month, we're going to give some things that we've learned over the last few years. You know, like, I still think that they probably tell people to eat 15 grams of carbs as snacks. Like, we don't do that.
No.
I mean, if you have to take insulin every time you eat, it doesn't make sense to eat for nothing.
Right.
So over the next month,
there's a lot of things that you learn over the years, and you know, that's our goal, is to kind of share some of these things and you know, put another face to this disease, and you know, talk about our experiences.
Yeah, and through that, then we also want to share, you know, how DIABAND came about, which is what the page you're on is all about. But without Zach having diabetes, we wouldn't have DIABAND. And DIABAND has introduced us to a lot of amazing people. We've gotten to help a lot of amazing people, but there's a cool story behind how DIABAND came about. So stay tuned for more videos.
Yep.
And we will share more about our story as we go on through the month of November.
All right. Thanks, guys. Have a good
Thanks.
night.